Yes guys, welcome today with Chef Hampshire. Today we're going to be cooking a chili con carne from scratch with homemade nachos and a guacamole. Enjoy. Okay, so we're going to start with our onions. So we got 2 small red onions. I'm going to chop them, top and tail them. Cut them in half just to peel off the edges, the outsides. Finely slice it. And then you can just whack them into the pan and get it onto a high heat. You then want to do the same with your 2 carrots and 2 celery stalks. So if you just want to chop them all down into small pieces, get them into the pan along with your onion. So now that we've let the sofrito, the carrots, celery and onion soften down a little bit, just leave them to fry off. You want to go in with 150 grams of soya mince. Get that in there. You want to toast it off then before you add the liquid. So I'm going to leave that just so it browns up a little bit. You get more of that nutty flavour through once it's been browned off. Along with that, you also want to go with our spices. So we've got 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. Sprinkle it over it. I'm going to give it a mix and leave it all to toast off for a little bit before adding in the chopped tomatoes. So now that we've left this to toast off for a little bit, you then want to go in with 1 can of kidney beans or 250 grams of drained kidney beans. You want to mix that in, let it toast off along with everything else. You want to season it just with a little bit of sea salt. Just a pinch. And then you want to go in with 2 tins of your chopped tomatoes. So now that we've gone in with those 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, you then also want to go in with about 100 ml of water. You want to give it all a stir so it comes together. At this point you also want to go with a splash of Worcestershire sauce or Henderson's relish because it's vegan. So just a couple dashes. So about 6 dashes there. Continue to give it a mix so it doesn't stick to the bottom. At this point you can also turn the temperature down a bit, a medium heat, and leave it to sit for a bit. If you need to add some more water to let it down every now and then, that's fine. Just little bits, and then leave it to reduce down again before adding any more water. So now that we've got our chili here, it's reduced down, and we've added overall about 300 to 400 ml of water in there. Let it reduce down, and now we're leaving it with the lid on, and we're going to leave it there for about an hour. In the meantime, we can get on with making some fresh nachos as well as the guac and then the quinoa, which we're going to be serving it with. So we're going to start with the tortillas. So I just got shop bought tortillas, mini tortillas. You can make them if you want. I'm just using shop bought ones, and then we're going to cut them into sort of nacho shapes. So going half and then half again. Cutting it into 8s overall, diagonal, and then the final diagonal. Then we're going to end up with lots of tortilla chips, just like this, or nachos. So you now want to get a pan with a couple mil of some vegetable oil, get it up to a high heat, and then you want to go in with your tortilla chips, layering them in so they can fry off, flipping them after a few seconds or after about a minute so you can get both sides proper crispy. And then you want to, after you flip them, you then want to put them onto a plate with some kitchen roll just to drain off any of that excess oil. And once they're there, you can also then season them on the plate. Once they're all done, you just want to take them out, put them onto the paper, and then you want to season them with some sea salt and a tiny sprinkle of some smoked paprika. And then you want to go in with the next batch straight away until you've got all of the nachos perfectly ready. Okay, so now that we've got the nachos done, they're all dried off and seasoned, we're going to leave those to one side. We're going to come back to them later. But now we can go back to the chili. Give it a stir. Make sure none of it's stuck to the bottom. And we now want to go in with the juice of about half of a lime. Also want to go in with about 20 grams of a rich dark chocolate. So you can just cut it up. That'll be about 20 grams. Just slice it off. Stir it in there so it all melts and gives the chili this rich flavour and this velvety texture that you want throughout the chili. Now that we've got the chocolate and the lime through the chili, if you wanted to go with a couple more splashes of your relish Worcestershire sauce, give it a stir, and put the lid back on and leave it again before we now get on with the quinoa. So now that we got our stock up to a boil, you want to go with a litre of stock. So then 400 grams of quinoa. Should be about a full packet of the quinoa that I have. You can rinse your quinoa beforehand. I don't see much difference between doing it and not doing it. As long as you cook it in stock, you get that flavour of the stock. Give it a little stir, and then you can leave it with a lid on for about 10 minutes. So now that we've got our quinoa boiling away there, and we have our chili still on the go over there, we're going to get started on our guacamole. So you want to go with 2 large avocados, halve them, peel them, scoop out the flesh, and get them into a large bowl. So now that we've got our avocados into the bowl, you want to go with a generous pinch of pepper, black pepper, and then also a generous pinch of sea salt, as well as going with about half a handful of coriander, and then also half a handful of parsley, saving the other 2 halves of a handful to go into the chili near the end. So if you just want to slice it all up finely, don't have to be precise. And then if you whack your herbs into the bowl along with the salt, pepper and the avocado, and then you want to give that a big mash up so then you have a nice guac. So now our quinoa should almost be ready, as well as our chili. Our guac is now all done. And you can either serve the nachos, just put them into a large bowl like this and have them as a sharing platter to dip into the guac, or you can then turn them into cheesy nachos. So I just got Violife already grated. You can just buy the block and grate it yourself. pour it over the top, be as generous as you like. So you can do them in large sharing bowls just like this with cheese on top, or you can do them in smaller personal sized portions. Same, just cheese on top. And then you want to get that into a grill onto a very high heat until the cheese is melted. So now that our chili is almost done, there'll only be about 10 minutes left. We can chop up those fresh herbs, so about half a handful of parsley and coriander, and then you can toss those through. As well, this is the point, if you wanted to add any spice, you can do so. If they're fresh chilies, I'd go in a little bit sooner, just so then you can cook off those chilies as well. But now you can go in with your herbs, just roughly chopped, doesn't need to be too small. And instead of fresh chilies, I'm going with this fermented Scotch bonnet from Eaten Alive. I'm just gonna go with about 7 dashes, so it'll be fairly mild, about medium heat. Or you can go with more if you prefer it a lot spicier and a bit more traditional, or you can just keep it completely. Now that we've got everything ready, I'm just gonna plate it up. So you're going to go with a generous amount of your quinoa. And also a generous amount of your chili. You also then do have your sharing portion of nachos with your large amount of guac, or you can put them into smaller portions, maybe going with a bit of your guac just onto this side. I also am going with some jalapenos, just put them in the jar, just put them on top or on the side. There you have your chili with your sharing portion of cheesy nachos and your large family portion of guacamole. That's everything from me today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to make this recipe at home and tag me on Instagram at chef_Hampshire. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you do want to recreate this recipe, please tag me on Instagram at chef_Hampshire and I'll upload some of them onto my story. If you enjoyed the video, press the like button below, subscribe and hit the bell. Peace.